Hello, everyone. In today's pandemic that we're all going through, there's two things that I know we're experiencing, and that is cabin fever and isolation. And the thought is, what can we do about them? And I think for me, when we start talking about this subject, is understanding what it is for each individual person. When we look at cabin fever, that can apply to any one of us from the situations that we're all in. The definition for cabin fever, I would say, is a reaction to being isolated inside during a period of time. It's ultimately rooted in an intense isolation where levels of anxiety can increase. Those levels could even reach as far as someone having a social phobia from this. Having your own definition for cabin fever and isolation right now is so important. How do I understand the feelings that's associated with it? What feelings are there? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling confused, scared, or angry? Identifying those feelings are important too, because we have to begin to see what it is and what it is not. And it's normal to have those feelings during this time. Try to see this as a different period of time. None of us could have guessed that any of this would have happened in the world. So right now we're working through something that we never thought would happen, but it's here. So how do I identify what it is and what it is not? Paying attention to my feelings is key through this process. Knowing that it is normal to feel sad or stressed, confused. If I am feeling that way, let me understand it. If I am associated with cabin fever, do I understand that part of what it is that I'm associating with the isolation? So being able to pay attention to rumor and speculation during this time is key. Getting vital information, reliable information, accurate information. I think that's another thing that helps decrease our levels of anxiety and worry. Paying attention to those things that we begin to understand as far as information. What is the information that I'm getting? Is it reliable? Is it factual? Listening to TV over and over and over again can begin to cause anxiety and worry. So if we are getting information, we don't want to speculate or make rumors about it. Prioritizing self-care is so important. Understanding our physical, our emotional, our spiritual, our psychological, and physiological behaviors that's going on with the COVID-19 isolation and cabin fever. How am I prioritizing my life right now? Am I dealing with my self-care, or am I just living through this moment and allowing all the stressors to create different emotions within me? Knowing your stress and your stress buttons during this time is key too. Because once I begin to know what is stressing me out, not who, if you notice, I said what, is the what being that now I'm not able to go outside. I'm not able to do what I was doing before. I can't go places. I got to wear a mask when I go out. These things can be stressors for some people. So being able to identify them as we move through this process is going to be key and vital for your mental stability. There's a new word that we all are experiencing right now, and it's called boredom. Prior to this COVID-19 and being placed inside, some people would think boredom would be waiting for the weekend to come, and now I'm just going to lay on the couch and relax, but I'm getting bored doing that. That's a different type of boredom. This boredom is something that none of us asked for, and it's something that we have to live through. When I look at a definition, I would say it's an uncomfortable, quite unpleasant feeling that tells us something is not right with our lives. It's a request for stimulation, a signal that our needs are not being met, and a feeling of being trapped. That's how we're feeling right now. In this isolative situation, we're feeling trapped. And so being able to identify the feelings and the emotions that's going along with that can help us navigate through it. If I am feeling bored, what does this boredom feel like this time? How do I identify what boredom is? And that's the part where we have to begin to understand how to navigate through this. Essentials to healthy thinking is going to help us process through boredom. One of the first things is to stick to a routine. Prior to this, we would all get up and go to work. We would take a shower. We would get our breakfast. We would do different things as we navigated through our day. Also, we had in our mindset, if I'm working 4:30 to 5:30 or from 7:30 to 4:30, if I was working in that type of schedule, then my mental thoughts was already on that day. We're not in that now. Because what we've done is we've shifted, and working from home poses a different mindset. So we have to stick to a routine. What can be the routine? The routine is making sure when I get up in the morning, I just don't go from my bed to my workspace. What I want to do now is do the same things that I was doing prior to COVID-19 that has me in this isolative situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to establish my work area. I'm going to set it up. If I had 2 monitors last time and I don't have 2 monitors this time, that can cause me stress. So I'm going to begin to set up a plan for how I'm going to prioritize my day and begin to work through that. That's a routine. Developing healthy routines right now while you are at home is very key. Stay in touch with family and friends on social media, but try not to sensationalize the things that's going on. What I mean by that is it's okay to be on webcam. It's okay to talk to your family because we need that. We need to check on them. But don't stay in the subject of always the COVID-19, trying to talk about things that we have no control over at this time. So that's what I mean when I say sensationalizing, making things more than what they are. We call it awfulizing or catastrophizing. So we don't want to do that. Find a balance in your overall thinking because that can help you, work through the COVID-19 feelings. So being able to have stability in thought, I believe those are very important as we find a balance through this, because if we don't have a balance, what's going to begin to happen is our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, all those things are going to be affected. That's why we must acknowledge our feelings as we are processing through this. Know what our feelings are. It's okay to be able to talk to someone if I'm not feeling happy, especially during this time where I might be feeling overstressed because now the way that I used to operate, if I'm a person who likes to go outside, I can't do that now. So I'm going to have to begin to adjust my thinking. I'm at work, in my house. I didn't have the privacy. Now I don't have the privacy that I had before. So I have all these distractions, whether I have my animals that's there with me or my kids are in another room and I hear the TV on and that's causing me a distraction. So those things you begin to identify as feelings that can affect you. I would say key also in this is incorporating exercise, doing mindful walking, taking mental breaks. One of the things that we did when we were working in our offices is that we got up and we would go on a break sometimes. Do that too. You can still do that. Or if you eat your lunch, don't go grab something from the kitchen and come back and sit down at your computer and start working again. Take your lunch break. You need that time so you can de-escalate. Routine. Do the same thing you did when you were in your office. Do the same thing while you're working at home. Be aware of and avoid increasing habits that may not be helpful in the long term, like smoking, over drinking, over snacking, and overeating. And I would say a big one that a lot of people are doing right now too is binge watching TV shows. That's something we have to pay attention to, because if I'm doing that, that can cause boredom, because I can only watch so many Netflix movies. I can only watch so many other things or do so many other things such as board games. So I have to begin to develop a balance, but I must understand my stress. What is my stress? After the novelty of working from home wears off, where are you at? Because some people enjoyed it, but now it's like, this is boring. Because some of us found solace in going to the office and being around our friends. We did. If you're a person that likes to be around people and that's how you gain your energy, this right here could be a stressor for you. So identify that. Understand that when we talk about stressors, before we stayed at home, and it could have been, when we looked at stresses, the long commute times that we work, co-worker interactions, or too many deadlines, or even not enough time to finish them. Those were stressors. Now there's a new type of stress we might be experiencing, such as not having my workspace where the way I used to have it, or I got all this exterior noise and I'm not used to that. Those things could be stressors now, and we have to pay those things attention. I would say one of the techniques in doing this is practicing mindfulness. How do we practice mindfulness through this situation? And that is identifying your senses. And it's easy to do. Take a few minutes out of the day, 2 to 3 minutes, and you can de-escalate yourself. How do we do that? Is by getting in a comfortable position. You can sit in a chair with your hands palm down on your lap, and then taking the time to pay attention to you. Meaning, as you begin to breathe, listen to how the noise comes out of your nose. Listen to how your breath is coming through your lungs as you are breathing. Pay attention to how your chest is inflating as you're breathing, how your diaphragm is pushing your stomach out. All those things are our senses that we can pay attention to and become aware. And when we are aware of those senses, it helps us de-escalate ourselves, because now my focus is no longer on those exterior things that was causing me stress. Now my focus is on me, which number one goes back to prioritizing self-care. So I'm taking care of me and I'm paying attention to me. I'm being cognizant of me. During this time, one of the greatest things that we must do is we must be nice to ourselves. We have to operate in compassion. I think that's key and vital as we process through this COVID-19. So as we go through, I want to talk about some resources that are there. These are some of the resources that we have available. Please take advantage of them. And just know as we go through this, you're not on your own. You're not by yourself. We're all here in this, and if you need to reach out to some of the resources, but please know that help is available. So resources are attached to this presentation that you can take advantage of. But one of the other resources I want to talk to you about is our EAP program, our Employee Assistance Program. So within BayCare, you get 6 free and confidential counseling sessions that are for all team members and their dependents. Please take advantage of it. You do not need to be on the BayCare medical insurance program to qualify for the EAP. Virtual and phone counseling services are available. So please reach out to our EAP. The number is 1-800-878-5470. And by email, you can email us at BayCareEAP@baycare.org. Please reach out. We're here. It's a service that's available for you and for your family. Thank you. So resources are attached to this presentation that you can take advantage of. But one of the other resources I want to talk to you about is our EAP program, our Employee Assistance Program. So within BayCare, you get 6 free and confidential counseling sessions that are for all team members and their dependents. Please take advantage of it. You do not need to be on the BayCare medical insurance program to qualify for the EAP. Virtual and phone counseling services are available. So please reach out to our EAP. The number is 1-800-878-5470. And by email, you can email us at BayCareEAP@baycare.org. Please reach out. We're here. It's a service that's available for you and for your family. Thank you.